Hey gang, Ted Gravlin with the TEDcast for the day. It used to be called Video Tip of the Day. We're now calling it TEDcast. If you go on YouTube and search for me, go on there and subscribe to the channel, hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube right now, go ahead and hit subscribe on the button below. That way you can see all the rest of the content that's kind of cool that we've put out over the years. Today we're going to talk about hiring and the question came up this morning that I saw on a Facebook group. Somebody was saying they'd been in business for a couple of decades and was just now getting around to hiring an office person. And I was like astounded by how in the heck you could run a company for that long without an office person. So to kind of recap some of the things we've talked about fairly often in some other videos, there's really a couple of kinds of activities going on in a business that's a little bit more mature. I mean, one that's got a few employees in that. In fact, every business has these things going on. They have daily stuff. Things go on every single day. Somebody's answering the phone, running service, doing sales, somebody's installing something that was sold. There's people doing admin stuff like handling the financing paperwork for your customers and making sure that all the parts and supplies are ordered and all that kind of thing, and things are in place, and making sure that we have our bookkeeping squared away in that. This stuff has to happen every day or your business eventually flounders, right? For a one-truck company, the owner's doing all this stuff. Eventually what you're supposed to do is move these jobs to somebody else to do, and the owner should be doing the things on this list: owner stuff, recruiting, training, understanding your numbers, working on that, doing marketing, building a marketing plan. Even if you're using a marketing company, somebody out there has to be conducting the orchestra, right? That should be the owner. Hey, look, we don't have enough leads. We have enough leads. How much are they costing? That's back into numbers. This is operating a business as opposed to doing like tech work or whatever. Okay, so the idea is to get rid of these jobs and start doing these jobs. So when you do this, you're going to start hiring people. One of the very first people you should hire is an office person. And the reason why is, number one, if you're a service tech or former service tech that's now a business owner, you probably aren't any good at the office stuff anyway. So learn how to do it, learn how to train someone to do it, and then get it off your plate so that you're not wasting your time doing a lot of menial tasks like answering your phone and figuring out your financing paperwork and stuff. It doesn't take a rocket surgeon to be doing that stuff. You can have someone who's $15, $18 an hour that's taking care of those things, and you can go generate a lot more money for your business, either back as a service tech if you haven't hired one yet, or if you're doing sales if you haven't hired that yet, which I know you should, but you go back and make a lot more money doing those things. Or you should be over here recruiting and training people to do all these things. And again, why the heck are you sitting here balancing your checkbook? Why in the heck are you answering the phone when it rings every few minutes? Why are you dispatching people? And I know it's kind of a control thing. You want to know who the customers are in that. But I'm telling you, when you want to grow your business to scale, there's no way in heck that you're going to be able to keep on with those kind of day-to-day tasks. You have to let them go. It's one of the most important things I can teach my clients is change your mindset, let those things go, and start doing these things. Now, the reason why people want to hold on to these, because you know what? We're pretty used to them, and we're kind of good at them. The ones over here, the ones you're not so good at. Recruiting, training, numbers, marketing. And these are the ones where you need to work yourself into training yourself to do them better and better and become a better and better leader on these items. Again, hire yourself an office person. You can thank me later, no matter what your size is. Now I'm going to throw a caveat in here. A lot of people will, kind of rope their spouse into being the office person. And there's nothing wrong with that, initially. But ultimately, you really do want to have a company that's self-sufficient where you're not having to be there and your spouse isn't either. So if that office manager is going to be so integral to everything that happens every day, it's a really great idea if your spouse can help out, but it's really a good idea if you have someone doing that that's not your spouse. Why is that? Because if you guys want to leave for a few days or something, your company falls apart without an office person that's been holding the glue that holds it all together. And you don't want your spouse to be the one to be the glue, and now you pulled it away and the whole thing is, in disaster while you're gone, in chaos. So you're going to want to have somebody over there doing that. And again, they're not very expensive. For the price of saving one service call every week, you can have a person in there. Just one phone call that doesn't go to voicemail and a customer books a call and you run a good service call, you can afford an office person. Just save one call a week, okay? Just save one install per month. It saves you a few hours on it, and it's worth every penny. and you get your sanity back. This is where I've run into owners that are working 60-hour weeks, and all of a sudden they're working 35-hour weeks. Huh, who knew, right? So hire the office person, then start working on the other positions that are harder to fill. Yeah, it's harder to fill a good service tech or a good installer, but then we're back over here where you should be doing recruiting and training. Recruit a good service tech, train a good installer, constantly recruiting, constantly training, because you may get lucky and find a good service tech or a good installer once in a while, but consistently as your business scales up, you're going to need to find a lot more of them, and it's going to become your responsibility to be able to do the things on this list. Recruiting and training are the big ones. Numbers is where we start, and marketing. So when I'm working with people, we always start with numbers. Why do we do that? Because we want to make sure you can afford everything. We want to make sure you really truly understand what your numbers really are. We want to make sure that if you're as profitable as you say you are, you can afford to hire an office person, hire a good service tech, hire that stuff. You need to have enough money in your gross profit left over to be able to afford these things. Then you can start moving over to pulling back and owning a business where you're not scrambling all the time to be profitable. You also want to do marketing to get more customers. You got to be able to afford it. So we start with numbers, we start with sales process, then we talk about marketing, and then eventually you're going to have to get really heavy into recruiting and training. And the reason why is because if you look at all the big companies, what they're having to do is they're having to run basically a training school, and by the way, they happen to do air conditioning on the side. So that's kind of the way that it's done when you get above a certain point. So the first couple of employees, you're kind of recruiting, and after that, you're kind of more training. Does that make sense? Hope so. So if you want to talk about how we do this and consistently, time after time after time, let me know. You can send me a message here, just a private message here on Facebook. We can also get into my booking link and set up a phone call. We do those for free. It's tedgravlin.com/booking. And if you go in there, it'll give you access to my calendar. You can pick a time or a date, and we can chit-chat about what you want to do next, about getting some coaching to help you work through how do you build processes to get rid of these things and end up on this list over here. And I'm going to tell you, once you get over to where you're doing owner stuff and you're not doing service daily stuff anymore, suddenly your life gets better, because suddenly you have what you thought you were going to have when you started the business, where like, hey, I'm a businessman, I own a company, it does things for customers, it services them very well, we get paid very well for that, and I don't have a headache where I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop 24 hours a day, where I'm at my kid's soccer game on a Saturday and oh my gosh, I hope the phone doesn't ring because I'm busy for the next hour. Nope, someone else is doing that. That's when you actually get your freedom back. So if you want to do that, let me know and we'll talk soon.